In late 2017, the Trump administration divulged over 2,800 FBI files related to the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This was done in compliance with a 1992 act that required their release to the public after 25 years. While some are withheld because of information that may have harmed certain persons, what we are allowed to see provides plenty for various historians, Kennedy fans, and conspiracy theorists to gnaw on. However, out of the primarily Kennedy-related files, one in particular sticks out. The file is dated March 12, 1968, and its subject reads, Martin Luther King Jr., a current analysis. It was compiled a mere 3 weeks before Dr. King, the Reverend and civil rights activist, was assassinated. The contents are full of apparent FBI findings concerning King's activism, alleged sex acts, and claims that Dr. King belonged to the Communist Party. The man who ordered the file on Dr. King was none other than legendary FBI director and man of notorious repute, J. Edgar Hoover. The conflict between Martin Luther King Jr. and the agents of the FBI is, without a doubt, one of the issues that establishes American heroes as American humans. With its themes of obsessive hatred and government lawbreaking, this issue carries over many lessons on rights in America that could well be applied today. J. Edgar Hoover was an idealist. Not a romantic daydreamer determined to open new horizons with new ideas, but one who knew what his vision of America was. That vision was one where everything would be calm and orderly, with gender and racial stations well established, and law governing the nation. That is the reason that Hoover, since his appointment to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 1924, would become known for breaking laws to dish the dirt on his suspects. His extensive files were filled with personal information of gangsters, lawbreakers, Hollywood stars, and American presidents. Those who were unfortunate enough to be investigated would be blackmailed, wiretapped, or spied upon in various manners, including having the FBI rifle their mail and break into their homes. Hoover's intensity was apparent, as he would have stopped at nothing to amass enough information on his suspects. And in the early 1960s, Hoover was convinced that American communists lay in wait, ready to overthrow his country. If someone broke the law or did something Hoover disliked, he was inclined to suspect that they were a communist. He now believed that he had rooted out another one, Martin Luther King Jr. The trouble had started when the FBI discovered that Dr. King had connections with a white man named Stanley D. Levison, who was purportedly a member of the Communist Party. Hoover suspected that his allegiances would rub off on King. He was even more angered when King said to a reporter, "One of the great problems with the FBI of the South is that the agents are white Southerners." In response, Hoover furiously found out all he could about the agents in Albany, Georgia, where King was at the time. He discovered that 4 out of the 5 were Northern, and, gloating, he ordered that there should be no chance that people would claim that his FBI agents were discriminating, and had a special agent named Chuck Harding call to schedule an appointment with King. We don't know if Dr. King ever received the message, but he never returned the call. Hoover seethed. He felt angered and disrespected by King. He vowed he would find out all he could about him.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream.
The March on Washington and Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech was working wonders for the civil rights movement. With this speech, filled with genuine words of hope for a future full of equality and love, King proved yet again that hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Ironically, an FBI memo from around that time described King as the most dangerous and effective Negro leader in the country. Stanley Levison had severed all ties with the movement because he knew that in order to win, the marchers would need to get President Kennedy on their side. Despite this, Hoover could give Attorney General Robert Kennedy a valid reason to wiretap King, as Hoover had wanted to do for a while. Was this dream King spoke of not the stuff of communism? With the permission of the Attorney General, Hoover could now listen in on King's home telephone and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference telephones. Agents bugged King's office and home, and even his hotels. But King was not a communist, and many statements that he had made proved it to the FBI.
The more significant truth is the amazing lack of success that communism has met in attracting the Negro.
This was never mentioned in the FBI file on King. What were mentioned were dozens of alleged affairs and other events of sexual misconduct well out of King's line of character. It was the best weapon the FBI had, and they utilized it well. In 1964, an anonymous letter arrived at the King residence, along with a package of 2 sex tapes, which Coretta Scott King opened. And it was a letter trying to tell him to commit suicide. King told a few friends that he thought the FBI had sent the anonymous letter, even though they tried to make it look like it was written by a black man. But even the letter did not affect King. He continued traveling and making speeches and campaigning for civil rights. J. Edgar tried and tried to expose King as a fraud in the newspapers, but they were just not interested in Martin Luther King's private life. One wonders what would have happened to King if the details the FBI had unearthed had become a sensation in the public. J. Edgar Hoover had set out to expose a morally corrupt person who intended to harm humanity, not help it. But he let his personal vendettas get in the way of justice, as he had done many times before and would do until his death on May 2nd, 1972. Hoover is not remembered as a hero, but a suspicious and discriminatory man whose efficiency landed him in one of the most impactful positions in America. Martin Luther King Jr., as you probably know, went down in history for all the right reasons. He campaigned for rights for African Americans until he was assassinated on April 4, 1968, by James Earl Ray. And today, with movements such as Black Lives Matter, He for She, and Never Again, we have made great progress in how we think about equality and standing up for that equality. We should strive to remember his dream as we move forward now in the present. As for the controversy, neither side has been proven right or wrong. It is deeply saddening that we do not, and may not ever, know the truth about whether Martin Luther King Jr. ever committed marital infidelity, or if J. Edgar Hoover lied. We should hope that they are both judged fairly for their actions one day.
Another blow for President Trump today as the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
In an age where politicians and celebrities' personal decisions and biases are heavily impacting the way Americans feel about the character of its leaders, we should look back on the past, reminding ourselves that we are all humans on this planet, and that humans are flawed. We should prioritize great character in our leaders, so that the men and women who lead us into the new millennia are not only revolutionary, but people of integrity in and out of public situations. We must make changes in our systems so that we run our countries and our world on a premise of helping those who need it, not persecuting those we hate. Despite the decisions that Dr. King may have made, there is something undoubtedly true in the words the Reverend spoke about the dream that catapulted him into the legends of modern America. And in this age, it is to be hoped that we, as humans, will follow our consciences and make every decision with the purpose of impacting the world in a way that will make it better. After all, every hero of history was a flawed human like every one of us. That means that as we venture into the future, every one of us imperfect humans has the potential to become a hero.